Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Tundra Cast. And today we're just gonna look over a couple of the standings as we are in the middle of a playoff. It's not even a race. This is like a death match right now. So,
Yeah,
this is episode 58, and not gonna hold on for too long here. Let's get right into it. So, where are we gonna start, boys?
probably the Metro. I think that's a
Which is
great place to start. I mean, it's basically, I mean, the East has basically been set in stone for like the entire season now. But there's still some movement that can be made. The Rangers are 4 points, as you can see. The Rangers are 4 points back on the Canes. The Canes have been struggling in the last 10. They're 4-3-3. Pittsburgh has a slim odds of getting first. I don't see that happening. But one team that's kind of interesting to me is Washington. They're gonna make the playoffs, but I've just been so unimpressed with them this entire season, and goaltending is certainly an issue for them. I don't know if Vanacek or Samsonov is going to be. I don't know which one of them is going to be the starter for Game One, but the one team I'm looking at in the Metro right now is Washington. I'm concerned about them. I think that's a team that could kind of get swept into playoffs if things don't go their way. Um, yeah, that's the one team I'm not sold on.
yeah, but like they are in the playoffs. We knew that.
Yeah,
Like the Islanders, they're bad. Okay, they're
Yeah,
not.
they're not. They had a rough. I mean,
they've turned
they
it around. Like, to be fair to them, they've turned it around.
Yes,
A little bit. It could be a lot worse for them right now.
it could be, but it doesn't look like they're gonna be
Um,
making the playoffs this year.
oh no, definitely not. I mean,
nope.
they've got to go like basically undefeated the rest of the season, and then hope that the Capitals just start floundering and stop winning games. Um, So I mean, it's tough for the Islanders because they got an old team. They need to win games now, right? Because like with most of their core being so old, like every year counts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, uh, they're just doing everything they can not to have a bottom feeder pick. Because I don't remember if the Islanders even have their first round pick this year.
Ooh,
I
that's
don't
a
know if they
good
traded that away
question.
or or
Couldn't tell
not.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean they've traded so
I'll
many picks in the
I'll
past
check right
couple years.
now. I'll
Yeah,
check on
thanks,
cap
Jay.
friendly.
Yeah, I think the Islanders are definitely turning it around, but I think they just left it a little bit too late, and I think it's pretty. It's a long shot for them to make the playoffs at this point. So I think what we're seeing is definitely going
Yeah.
to be your playoff picture. I think at this point, I think it's
They two,
pointed as well. Pittsburgh and Washington just aren't very good at home, are they?
That's a good
Which is
point.
pretty weird.
Just look at
Yeah,
these records
so
right
that's
here.
interesting for the
yeah,
playoffs
slightly
as
above
Yeah.
well.
500 for Washington. Like,
So like
yeah,
if you're
yeah.
looking at upsets, maybe you look at Washington just because they're so good away and they're not even going to have home ice advantage. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But
But right now they're slated to play Florida.
Florida, which is
something like that.
I mean, that
Yeah,
that
big
I
defense.
that
You're
I
gonna
don't
get
know about
kicked.
that, but
I thought they would have played the Canes. My bad.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it could
yeah,
still happen.
That's true.
I don't
maybe.
know. Like, I just think of all the teams because we basically got the eight in the East. I just think Washington's by far the worst team
Oh, it's not even
Yeah,
close.
for sure.
in the
Yeah,
playoff picture right now. Like,
the
I don't think it's
goaltending just
particularly
isn't
close.
there.
And honestly, no. Okay, so I
Yeah.
predicted that like when we did our prediction videos, like a year, that was a long time ago. I said that Washington wouldn't be that great. They ended up being a bit better than I thought they'd be, and I was wrong about where they'd be bad. I thought that their forward core would be dropping off because I don't know, they were getting old. But it's not that. Uh, it's their goaltending, and that's not something I really expected. Because I thought they had two pretty
Yeah,
good
I
young
mean,
goalies.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like goal scoring wise, like they're right up there, right, with
Hmm.
the Tampa Bays of the world, the Carolina Hurricanes of the world. So because these are some of like the more offensive minded teams in the East, and it's not like their defense has been like that terrible,
Hmm.
right? Like obviously losing Brendan Dillon to Winnipeg because of cap issues kind of hurts, but I feel like Washington has been terrible defensively. It's just their goalies. I mean, they're like I wouldn't say they're the worst goalie tandem, like one of the because obviously like they're good enough to be in the playoff picture, but man, like like I think like Washington's goalie issues are like a little bit like brushed over compared to other situations, like for example Toronto, just because Toronto is a bigger market, but that crease is it's not looking great right now.
Yeah, And this might just be the last year for the Capitals. They may not be able to turn it around for a while.
What do we think the Rangers are going to do in the playoffs? Because I'm looking
I
at my pens and I'm like, we haven't played
no,
well against them the last few
I
games.
am not sold on the Rangers whatsoever. I hate their
Neither am
team.
I, but like like I said, like my Penguins haven't won against them really. Like it's a bit worrying, but I'm not really sold on them either. But
I'm gonna be honest. I'm just not sold on the Metropolitan Division as a division in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carolina is probably the best built team in that division, but I don't think they're better. Like on paper, like they're actually better than any of the 4 teams in the Atlantic. Like obviously like they have an argument, but
I
like
think
I wouldn't be mad if you said Tampa was better than Carolina, Boston was better than Carolina, Toronto was better than
I think
Carolina.
you can make an
Like
argument that
obviously Carolina could be better.
I think you can make an argument that
Yeah.
Carolina's better than Boston.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I,
You could make that argument, but you could also make the argument that Boston is better because of their defense, right?
Yeah, I
That's true.
agree.
Boston's defense is one of the best, right? Like that's what I'm saying, right? Like you can make the argument, right? But then if you go, is New York better than Toronto? No,
No.
they're not. Is New York better than Boston? No, they're not. Is New York better than Tampa? No, they're not. And same with Pittsburgh, right? Like now, part of that maybe just because the Atlantic is so stacked, but I'm just not buying stock in the Metro this year.
Yeah, and the thing about Carolina is Freddie's been absolutely amazing. He's starting to make his own case for Vezina with how Shesterkin hasn't been all that great lately. So, and that's another thing. If Shesterkin isn't at the top of his form, the Rangers
Well,
aren't going anywhere.
If Shesterkin was just like a .920 save percentage goalie, the Rangers are in a wild card spot. That's
Oh, yeah.
the thing.
Oh yeah,
mhm.
Which is
And
why, like, I mean, it's a debate for another time. But like, I mean, that's why you should give consideration for the heart for Shesterkin. It's between him or Matthews, obviously.
yes,
You can make good arguments for both, and I'll leave it there because I don't want this to turn into a huge debate.
Yeah.
But like Igor's the
Yeah.
MVP of that team. Like they can't play 5v5. They really can't do anything besides scoring the puck. They're basically last year's Oilers. Like essentially, they can't play 5v5. They can only score on the power play, and they have a hot goalie. And Mike Smith was hot last year. This year he's just absolute dog shit. But but like that's what the Rangers are. Like I just don't see them going far into the playoffs.
yeah. I gotta agree with you, and I like Pittsburgh. Okay, obviously Pittsburgh, they've been playoff built, and even when we didn't think they were playoff built, they somehow pulled it out of nowhere, and they managed
Yeah.
to do anything. So I'm not gonna count Pittsburgh out ever, but I don't know. It just doesn't look the same as it used to.
The form is just not quite there. Like I don't know. Like they've got players on that blue line. Like Nick can talk about this more probably, but like the pieces on their blue line is just like some guys are overperforming in my head because of Sullivan, and some guys that they expected to be really good last year, like at the start of the season, just haven't been that good. I mean, like like they've obviously dealt with some injuries, but like like Friedman's one of their better defensemen just in terms of where he plays and his performance. Mike Matheson is one of their better defenders this year. It's just like
He's been
it's
unreal
crazy
this
to
year.
me.
Yeah,
Letang's
Yeah,
been
that's what I'm
having a
saying.
pretty
So
good
it's
year
like
as well.
that's true.
But the thing with Letang is that he's just like I say this all the time, but like Letang is my biggest like love-hate relationship. Like I have the biggest love-hate relationship with Letang because he'll make a beauty play in the offensive end, and then he'll just do something stupid shithead bone play on the other end. It's just like I don't know, like I just with Letang, there's so much of a wild card there. But like our defense has been playing like super well, and I think Sullivan really has a key part in that.
Yep.
Like I think with guys like Marino, I think I was a little disappointed with him because he broke out and looked like he was going to be a good defenseman, and he kind of took a step back a little bit the last couple of years. So I was hoping we'd pick up a defenseman in the deadline just to kind of solidify that. I didn't expect it to be Nate Boyu, but I expected it to be someone that actually plays games. But I mean, hey, we'll see what happens. Like, I like our forward core though. I think Raquel's slotted in really nicely with Malkin there on that second line.
I agree.
I expect that to continue there. So I really love that pickup.
I mean,
so far.
you've needed that, right? Like
We definitely
that's all the
did.
Pens fans have been talking about. They're like, Captain can't finish. Captain can't finish.
Kapanen's been healthy scratched a few times now, and Russ has been playing really, really well. So I think you have a guy kind of like Rust, kind of like in the second line there is kind of what we needed, especially Zucker, right? Zucker's hurt again, and he just hasn't panned
Yeah.
out at
He's
all.
been
So
bad anyway. It doesn't even matter,
he
to be
has been.
honest.
He has been, which is exactly why we needed a guy like Raquel. He's played really well. So
Like I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be that guy who says I told you so. But like when y'all trade for Kapanen, I did say I was like, if you're expecting him to be like a second line goal scorer with Malkin, that's not what you're gonna get. That's never
Fair
been what
enough.
he is. He's
Yeah,
a speedy guy who plays
Kapanen
best
can't
on the third line.
Kapanen can't play with star players. I think that's been evident throughout his career, especially in Toronto, where when he's been given the opportunity to play with Tavares or Matthews, he just can't seem to get it done.
And it's
So
weird because he seems to have all of the same. He seems to
you
have the
know,
same tools that you need to play on the top line. He's
he
quick.
reminds me. He kind of reminds me of Athanasiou that way because he didn't
Mm.
really gel with Larkin
True.
when he came with
Mm.
Edmonton for like 9
Yeah.
games or so. He didn't really gel with Connor. Like it's weird. You kind of need to play him with on his own line because he's the guy that really drives the play most of the time. So it's a really weird player, and yeah, just that hasn't worked
He
out for
needs
the
to be. He
Pens.
needs to be on your energy line, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine like if
Yeah.
the Leafs had Kapanen, if you had Camp, Mikheyev, Kapanen,
Oh, that's
right? Like
great
he
line.
slots into that angle role, right?
That's
Right?
amazing.
Like that's like the kind of line he needs to be on. A fast line, a hard forechecking line, and a line that generates opportunities based off the pressure that they can generate off their speed, right?
Yeah.
And he's not ever really gonna. He never really got that with Malkin because, like, no offense, Nick, I love Malkin. Malkin's a great player, but he's
Yeah.
not exactly burning up and down the ice, Like
No.
he's
No, he's not
not
the same
that
as he
kind of
was.
player.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I don't really know what else to say other than
Actually,
as a Toronto fan, it's gonna sound really really weird, but I
you
want
want
to
to play
play Boston.
Boston. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
you want that revenge. They
Y-
beat you 3 straight
Yeah.
times.
exactly, and it's not even that I think Boston's the worst. Well, I do think they are, but I don't think that's not the
Yeah.
reason. I just want to beat them.
Yeah.
Reminds
I
me
get
of
that.
Vancouver and Chicago from the early 2010s, and Vancouver eventually beat them.
Yeah.
They
Washington,
eventually able to get them.
Washington,
So
and Pittsburgh too, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
right,
true.
yeah.
So many battles between those two teams.
Yeah, so I just want that to
Look,
happen.
man, I don't care who we play as long as we win.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I don't care if we drop to the wild card and we have to play Carolina, or somehow, God forbid, Washington has a better record than us by the end of the season and we have to play Florida. I don't care. If we play Florida, we play Florida as long as we beat them. Like at some point, the excuses have just got to stop.
And here's the
It's
thing.
like every year it's like
Here's the thing. Any of these teams have the capability. Okay, other than Washington, any of these teams have the capability to be any of these other teams here in the Atlantic, at least. Like Tampa, Florida, Toronto, Boston. They're all good,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be surprised.
all four of those teams could be the representative for the Eastern Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
Any four of those teams.
And it would.
be
There's a
honest,
very good
any
chance
four.
they'd win too, because they're all really good teams.
Florida kind
Very
of
soundly built teams.
Florida really concerns me, especially in that because I don't like Pavelski's been slipping for a while and he hasn't the greatest playoff track record. Like if Florida, like that's just the one thing that concerns me of Florida. The
Yeah.
goaltending is really suspect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now they're gonna play Tampa Bay. If this holds, like I don't know, I take Tampa Bay in that matchup. I really would because playoff Vasilevsky is just unreal. Tampa Bay has that championship DNA. Like, no, I'm not as high as I am on Florida as I was like a couple months ago.
Florida is a
Yeah,
weird
I just
situation.
think it's the matchup. If Florida gets Boston, I think Florida can win that because I think their four lines that they can rotate offensively are just so potent. And Boston plays well defensively as a unit. And Swayman's been incredible this year. I think he's super underrated.
Mhm.
He should be talked about when we talk about some of the best goalies in the league. But like Boston's like a two-line team, bro, offensively.
Yeah.
Boston's really a two-line team. And Florida's got depth scoring. They've got the physicality to keep up with the Boston, which is really like the issues that the Leafs have had, right? Like Boston just when it comes to playoff time, penalty calls go way down, and what kind of teams benefit? Teams like Boston, right? But Florida's got those physical guys as well, so like they can keep up with the physicality of Boston over a 7-game series if they have to, and they can score goals on any four lines, right? So like I agree. Like if it was Boston in the wild card right now, I'd be much higher on Florida. But right now, because it's Tampa, Vazzy's a guy, like, it doesn't matter how good your 4 forward lines are. That guy is special, man. That goalie, like, he's a guy who can steal 3 games for you in the playoff series. 3.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
not like we're talking about like, oh, you need a goalie in the playoffs that can steal a game for you. No, Andre Vasilevsky can literally steal you 2-3 games. He can steal you a series.
Yeah.
So, and not to mention Tampa's got a great team in front of them. Like, we're talking about how great Florida's first 4 lines are. Tampa's got 3 crazy lines too.
Yep.
So it's like,
Yeah, it's true.
What was it? Hagel, Colton, and Paul. Like,
Bro, that
that's
came out of
insane.
nowhere. I didn't expect it to be this good.
that's a great line. That's a great line. That's the exact same third line basically in terms of the way that they play that Tampa had their first cup year when they had Goudreau, Gord, and Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
like it's the same line, and they got Hagel at 1.5 for 2 more years after this.
It's a solid deal. It's like they overpaid for Hagel. Let's not get it twisted. They did.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, they did.
But it's
Yeah,
Rad-
they did.
I mean, speaking about that deal, Radish has been unreal for Chicago so far. He's been really
Yes.
good. I think,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he's been put for
Matthew Joseph had a hat trick. Yeah,
Yeah,
Matthew
Oh, yeah.
Joseph had a hat
That's
trick.
also
for
Yeah,
sure,
he's been good
Just had a
too.
hat-trick. Yeah.
for benefiting both teams. Both
Yeah.
deals.
Yeah, like Tampa, they get a really good player like I have for a while, and he's obviously helping right now too. And they did overpay, I think, but like still, I think their line right now. Here's the thing. The fourth line, it's not obviously a huge deal, but it does play a role to an extent. Um, Especially if there's injuries, you need to have that circulation.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what the Leafs have been trying to find now is, putting in a bunch of players are coming out of nowhere. Like Abuzazi's like he's a university kid and he's playing right now. I think I don't know. Has Boston been trying this too? They've been bringing in players. I don't know about that.
They got McLaughlin, who scored his first game, but
McLaughlin?
that's all I
Nice.
know.
That's about all I can think of too, right? Florida, I don't know either. But I know Tampa, it's always switching players out. I don't know how they get all these random guys, but they do. So like, injuries are gonna happen. It's hockey, right? So I think that's gonna play a role. And right now, the Leafs are kind of feeling it because Cash is out, Nylander's out, but that's probably not for long. So they're trying things out. Tampa's always gonna be trying things out. I do think Boston and Florida, especially with how Boston doesn't have a strong bottom 6, they should be trying that out too. But we'll see.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised they got Lindholm because they don't really have a true number 2 center. Because like I'm not a big Charlie Coyle fan. I
Yeah.
think he's a good 3C. I don't think he's great, but I think he's a fine 3C. I don't think that's a guy you want as your second line center, especially like Florida can go with Barkov, Giroux, Tampa, Point, Stamkos, Toronto, Austin Matthews, John Tavares. Like it really isn't the same. Like Bergeron's great. I love Patrice Bergeron. I like Charlie Coyle 2C. It's just not it.
I agree.
And part of the reason why I'm not so high on Boston is you look at Boston's team right now, they're healthy. They don't have Zabora right now, but they're healthy. Like this is their team. This is their team right now. That's hanging on to third in the Atlantic by the skin of their teeth, right? You look at Florida, they don't have Ekblad right now. You look at Tampa Bay, they don't have Ryan McDonough right now. You look at Toronto, they don't have Kasha, they don't have Muzzin, they don't have Nylander right now, right? Like the other 3 teams in that Atlantic division are winning games and they're not healthy right now. They're not healthy. And Boston is. So if I'm Boston, like I'm a little bit like how good is that team defense gonna be in the playoffs, right? Like the ceiling of these other 3 teams in the Atlantic, I think are just higher. I think they're just better.
Yes.
I agree.
All right.
That's about it for the East.
And I think that was a really good conversation because we know that the 8 teams are here. These are the ones we're looking at, and they and a lot of them are pretty close. So it's a good conversation to have.
It's gonna go right down to it's like 2, 3, 4 in the Atlantic. It's gonna be changing almost every day. It's gonna be a fun race to watch.
Yeah, I think so too. And even I think I don't know. I can't even say Florida's locked in because I have but they kind of are. That's all.
They're essentially.
I mean, unless Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight take a tumble like Jack Campbell did in the last stretch of this season, and they just forget how to play goalie, I think Florida's got the first seed locked down. They're too good of a team to go on like a 4 or 5 game losing streak, and that's what it's gonna take for either Toronto, Boston, or Tampa to catch them.
Yep.
Right.
All right.
And then they gotta win those games too, right? It's gonna be tough.
Yeah. Toronto's got to win 5 games in a row, and then Florida's got to lose 4 in a row.
Yeah.
You know, it's unlikely.
All right.
Is
All these guys,
Um,
bums.
Suck.
Like we don't want to talk about them, but I just want to talk about one team there. Okay, just one
Okay,
team
here we
in
go.
that
Oh God.
every single season, I bet on this team, and this team always makes me look stupid. I hate Philadelphia.
Yeah, I hate them too.
Every year, bro. Philadelphia. That's all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
But like, I hate Philadelphia.
I
Every
think
year
I-
I bet on them, and
I
every
think
year
I
they
feel
don't
like
win.
they're in the division coming in, so yeah, that's not a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Silly
So
Welcome
here
to the shit show of the West.
it is. It's
the
much more
bloodbath.
spread out here than it is in the East.
We should probably try to get Dallas in this picture too, because they're right
I
in it.
will try.
Winnipeg sucks, so screw them. But yeah, there we go.
I hope Winnipeg doesn't make the playoffs.
They're gonna.
I hate Winnipeg.
They
I
kind
hate
of suck
Winnipeg
balls.
so much.
For
I
real.
hate Winnipeg.
All right,
Winnipeg
so,
is just a. I hate all their players.
Even their
So-
AHL players, apparently.
all right. So do you want to go by points percentage because Dallas would technically be in over Vegas? Like, do you want to go by points percentage, or do you want to go by actual points?
Oh, you're right. What the
We'll
hell?
go point percentage because
Okay.
I don't like
Jesus.
Vegas either.
All right. So as of
I
today,
don't like
it'd be
Vegas either. so.
it'd be Colorado, Dallas, Calgary, Nashville, LA, Edmonton, Minnesota, St. Louis, and there's a lot of good matchups in there. There's a lot of teams here that has flaws. I mean, St. Louis has a bit of goaltending issues. I mean, if they start Husso, they'll be fine. They have a bit of defensive issues. LA is a very inexperienced team. Edmonton, goaltending.
We know Edmonton's issues.
I mean, everyone knows Edmonton's issues. Nashville, they've been slowing down a bit over the last few months. Vegas basically has no issues once they get into the playoffs because they're going to be fully healthy. And Dallas'
Yeah,
issue
pretty
is
much.
just creating no offense whatsoever. And I mean, like the West, like any like one of the okay, out of these 5 teams, I can't talk. I really can't talk. Between LA, Edmonton, Nashville, Vegas, Dallas, one of them is going to miss the playoffs, and any one of these teams can still miss the playoffs. Still 12 games left. Anything could happen. Like, Vegas has won 5 in a row. If Nashville loses their next 2, Dallas wins 1, they're out of a playoff spot. Hell, if Edmonton loses, their next 2 games, Vegas wins theirs, Edmonton drops out of a spot. It's so close right now. LA is playing. They're currently down 1-0. They could be out of a playoff spot by this weekend. Who knows? It's like it's a fun race to watch. And for me, there's only 2 to 3 actual good teams here that could make the finals. I think you guys could agree. It's Colorado, Minnesota, and Calgary.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like those are the only 3 teams that I look at. Honestly, I wouldn't even put Calgary in that category.
I agree. I was
honest.
I was gonna exclude Calgary, but my bias, because my bias against them. But
Yeah.
the thing with Calgary is that all season they really haven't been they've been completely healthy. Their biggest injury, before Sean Monahan, but I mean Sean Monahan's garbage, so who cares? But it was like Brett Ritchie missing 30 games. Like they missed in total 40 games lost. That's nothing. They've been completely healthy all year. But they started to fall down too. You can see last 10 games, 4-4-2. They started to struggle a bit. And this is a team that in the past, kind of like Edmonton, kind of like Toronto, kind of like basically every Canadian team, they can't get it done in the playoffs. They always fumble first or second round. And especially in this case, if Vegas could keep the stretch going where they're playing great hockey and they can somehow get first wildcard spot, I'd hate that matchup for Calgary because Stone's going to be back, Pacioretty's going to be back, all those guys are going to be back, and Vegas does make the playoffs. I mean, you can probably put them as a favorite to win the cup.
I like Calgary's core team. I just worry about their goaltending a little bit because Markstrom's been super good, but he's also kind of been consistent at the same time.
He's been overplayed too. Markstrom's a guy that gets hurt.
That's true, yeah.
He gets hurt a lot, and I don't know.
Same thing happened to Talbot, didn't it, when he was with the Oilers?
They overplayed, yeah. They played him 73 games to play off here. Next year, he played 68. His numbers tanked down because he played a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they're not playing Vladar. It's not like Vladar's a trash goalie. He's pretty good. He's not a bad backup goalie. I mean,
yeah, Vladar's pretty good.
Yeah, Vladar's a really good goalie, right? And Calgary needs to get over that hump. And Johnny Gaudreau's having a Hart Trophy caliber season. Matthew Tkachuk's playing exceptionally well. Elias Lindholm is showing people why he's a true number one center. But if this core can't get it done this year, something's got to give. Gaudreau, Calgary doesn't have a lot of cap space this upcoming summer, and they got to re-sign Mangiapane, Shillington, Tkachuk, and Gaudreau. And one of those guys has to go, and I think that's going to be Gaudreau.
Probably Gaudreau. It's probably Gaudreau. And he's been having a hell of a season.
He's going to get 11. He's going to get 10 million. He's going to get at least 10 million. And Kachuk's qualifying offer is also 10 million. So Calgary's going to be in deep cap issues this upcoming summer. This is the year to get it done. And I just don't know. I'm not sold on them.
If I had to break down the West, I would say Colorado are heavy favorites, but they remind me of Washington back in
me
the 20s.
Yeah, they're the Western Conference Washington Capitals. They're a new Washington.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I said.
They're such a good team. They're such a good team. You think they're gonna go far, and then they're second round exit.
Yeah,
second round exit.
I view them
exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Minnesota reminds me of Boston, kind of in that similar time with the way they play. They have a couple of guys that can score a bunch of goals, but they play good defensively. They're really physical. They're not afraid to dust it up. They got some big bodies. They really doubled down on the toughness because they went and they got Middleton and Delorier at the deadline, right? As a physical team, I think that's a team that's going to be hard to play. I think that's a team that is a little bit over-reliant on scoring from their top six, but, they've got a good built team. St. Louis is that team that I don't know how I feel about St. Louis. They're just there,
they're just playing well. Weird team. There, I agree,
but they're just weird. Yeah, they're just there. I don't know what to think of them. Their goalie could use a bit of improvement. Their defense could use a little bit of improvement. Their forwards, they don't really have a superstar up front, but they have a bunch of really good players. St. Louis is a weird team. They're playing well, right? And then Calgary is the Leafs to me. They're a team that plays well, but they got a lot of superstar names. They got a good goalie who's inconsistent, has health issues. They got a defense that is playing well, but as a team, they just shell up and they shrink in the playoffs. And you don't know if, despite how they're playing this year, if you can trust them to make a run in the playoffs, which is what makes you wary of labeling them as a contender. Just like how I'm wary of labeling the Leafs as a true contender, even though they've been playing exceptional this season. Los Angeles is that
in any other division. If they were in the Metro, they would make the second round. They're just
that's fair. LA is just a young, exciting team. I think they're playing with house money right now. If they make the playoffs as not a wild card team, this season's been a success, right?
Yeah.
No one was expecting them to be here. Except I did think Shea had them making the playoffs.
I had him
this
third.
Year, so
I had him
big
third.
Ups to you.
Had a boy, Shea.
Yeah,
thank you.
Big ups to you, Shea. I had LA outside the playoffs, so
I might have had him wild card actually. Let me double check.
Yeah. So that was a good call from Shea. Shea had the inside scoop, I guess.
Yep.
On what?
I don't know, man, but he just knew.
I had it on that, and I had it on Raquel. I had it on Raquel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Edmonton. I mean, it's
you talk about Edmonton.
I just want to say this. Edmonton is literally a couple points back of first place in the Pacific of shitty goaltending. If they just had Stuart Skinner up or any other goaltender in the league, this team would probably be top 4 in the conference, and that's all I gotta say. Just get a fucking goaltender next season. It really isn't that hard. And
why
I mean,
aren't they playing Stuart Skinner? I don't get it.
I'm honestly shocked.
They're not playing. I don't know why they're not playing Skinner. It's weird because Woodcroft loves Skinner down in Baco. He obviously doesn't have a lot of say in the line decisions right now. Defensively, I mean, obviously they need work. But Kulak's been a great addition. I've been really impressed with him.
Kulak's been good for you.
Nurse has been really good this year. Not $9.25 million, but I think he's worth around 7.5. Bouchard's been great offensively. Defense struggles are there, but he's 22. He'll get rid of that. CC's been good. He's been fine. Term's still a bit too much, but for the price point, I've actually been enjoying CC. And you know what? Tyson Berry for the last 2 weeks, he's still shit defensively, but at least he's producing.
No, we do not allow Tyson Berry compliments on this chat. No, no.
Berry's such
no.
a nice guy, though. He's such a nice
He has
guy.
caused me too much pain as a Leafs fan. I will not tolerate this. I will not tolerate it. No Tyson Berry compliments on this
All
podcast.
right.
I will not hear it.
And
I
Edmonton
refuse to hear it.
3 solid scoring lines. So, if the defense is just average and goaltending is average, they should beat LA. Second round, they'll probably lose, but if they win a round, I don't give a shit. Just do something in the playoffs, please.
I'm just shocked that they just didn't bring another body in for goalie. Like they didn't even try just bringing another guy.
I thought when Kakinen got traded,
just get anyone.
Kakinen got traded to be him.
I was hoping I was holy shit, please get Kakinen or Reimer or anyone.
Yeah, just get another body in there, right? It doesn't have to be a world beater. It doesn't have to be a John Gibson. You don't have to give up a first round pick, a second round pick. Just put another body in there. If you put Mike Smith on waivers today, do you really think any team in the NHL is going to claim him?
No one's claiming that guy.
No. So you can waive Mike Smith or Mikko Koskinen. You won't lose them, and you can call them back whenever you want. Right? Like, those are two goalies that nobody in the NHL wants right now. Like, there is literally no cost for you to trade for a goalie at the deadline. Like, you cannot
Ken
tell
Holland
me
we're
that
talking
you would
about.
not have
Ken
given
Holland,
up
baby.
a third
Let's
round
go.
pick. Like, just give a third round pick for, I don't know, Martin Jones. He's not great, but he's decent.
They could have got Wedgwood. Wedgwood was
anybody.
Bro, you could have taken Mrazek too.
Fuck Mrazek. Fuck that contract.
No. Take Mrazek. Take Mrazek off Mrazek.
I would have rather had Harry Satari, honestly.
Bro, bro, that still pisses me off. Why does it?
I still think that's dumb. I still think that's dumb. How if you sign a guy in the middle of the season, he has to clear waivers for you to sign him. I still think that's dumb.
That's
it makes sense to me if we call your roster spots are full. And that's why you had to sit him down. But we literally waived Peter Mrazek. We had an open goalie slot. I don't see why we couldn't just sign him and then just keep him on the team. I don't like that rule. I get it. It's the rule. It's consistent. I don't blame Arizona for taking him because he's a good goalie. Okay. Well, you can't blame them because they're trying to get assets, right? And maybe if Satari is good for them, he can be a starter there for them, right? So
poverty.
I just feel bad for him because he clearly signed with Toronto because he wanted to play with Toronto, and all of a sudden he has to pack his bags and play in a college arena. You know what I mean? I feel bad for the guy.
That's an interesting point about that. He could be a starter in Arizona because you've seen guys like Velmelka just play so well there, and Arizona just has a knack for finding decent goalies. Granto was exceptional there. Kemper, Wedgwood there. If you look at his previous games in Arizona, he was facing 50 shots. He kept saving 45 of them. It's insane. There's some, I don't know who the goalie coach is down there, but props to him. That's just.
The Leafs will hire him. The Leafs will hire him, and then our goalie problem will be solved.
Exactly. Nashville. It's
my take on you go.
It's basically Forsberg, Yossi, and Saros carrying the load. Duchesne's been good too, but there's still a lot of questions with that team, and
Rossi's not gonna like to hear this, but I think that right now their success, early season success, was too much predicated on players overachieving for them.
A little
bit. They were riding a wave of younger guys or veterans that had a couple of down years that people weren't really expecting to perform that well, and a couple of them just started playing better. Matt Duchene for a lot of this season was playing a lot better than he had the previous year or two, right? Jeannot is a guy we talked about who was in the Calder conversation for a good couple of months, right? These are guys that people didn't necessarily see coming, and then they just overperformed and got Nashville off that hot start. And I just don't know how long those guys will be able to keep it up.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking at some of their stats. They've really cooled down. And once again, if they're playing Calgary, I'd probably take Calgary in that matchup. But I don't know. Nashville does have a history about going deep in the playoffs, and they're more so a bit of a playoff built team if you look at the construction of their bottom six. But yeah, I mean, recently they haven't been good. Hopefully for Rossi's sake, they started winning some games because they can find themselves out of a playoff spot by next game. Who knows? Dallas, if Dallas wins. Vegas wins, they're out. So, Nashville needs to start winning some games, and we touched on Vegas, and I mean Dallas. Like, I just think it's Jake Ottinger carrying them. That's it. Like, he's been
He
exceptional.
has been damn good, and I don't look. He's always been has always had that potential to be damn good, and I think he's been good before. But like to this extent, never. Um, it's good for him because he's the only reason that they're at this point right now. At least I think.
If you really think about it, Dallas is just the anti-Edmonton.
A bit, yeah. Just all
Right?
defense,
Right.
no offense.
All defense, no offense, and they got this young goalie who's just playing out of his mind right now. And like the thing with Dallas is just that similar to the situation with Calgary, it's like they gotta win like the next 1 or 2 years because man, Sagan just hasn't been the same. Jamie Benn is regressed. Where if you ask me, he's probably a third liner that they're playing in the top 6.
It's
Radulov
I
has
don't know what
terrible.
I don't know what happened to
Jesus.
Radulov, man. I don't know what the hell happened to him.
Yeah,
it sucks though.
Klingberg's a guy who might not come back next year.
You know what?
Yeah.
There's some good pieces there. There's still Jacob there. Yeah, I mean, Jason Robertson, exceptional.
Oh,
Rupe
And
Hintz.
Rupe Hintz as well has been
Jacob
Hintz is
Pedersen's
great.
been great. Miro Heiskanen, that 2017 draft.
Hintz
That's
is
weird, 'cause they
incredible
clearly
as
have those
long as he
offensive
stays on
guys.
the ice. Hintz is incredible as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah.
I
They
think it
clearly
was
have those
last
offensive
season.
guys.
He was getting hurt, bro.
Like,
They clearly have those offensive guys. It's just weird they're not able to score.
Yeah, like Gurianov, bro. Like
I was just gonna say,
Gurianov
what happened to Gurianov?
he's been struggling this year. He's like last season and the year before that, like he was like one of those guys that you were like, oh, like it's okay if Radulov regresses because a guy like Gurianov can just step in on that top 6 lines and be the goal scorer, and he just can't find the back of the net right now.
He's
It's
always
weird.
been a guy. He's always been the guy, especially when he was drafted, that has the talent to be like a 20 goal scorer, 30 goal scorer, but nothing more. Not really much of a playmaker or anything, just a pure scorer.
Yeah.
But he has been struggling this year, right? So
Holy shit, Radulov only has 21 points. I thought.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
he's not-
Radulov's been bad.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
He's not been
Radulov's
bad.
been so bad. Jamie Benn hasn't been inspiring. Like they're just an aging team with some of their big contracts just aging.
They got Joe Pavelski though. He's been playing well.
Pavelski's been
Yeah, he's been
that
really
extension.
good. He came out of
Yeah.
nowhere too. He's so old
Yeah.
now. He's like
I think
38.
his best season to date.
Holy
Yeah,
crap.
I was expecting him to start regressing too, but I'm like,
too.
nah, this man's aging like fine wine. This guy's having a Tom
Yeah.
Brady type tail end to his career.
Man's
putting up career highs.
how much due to Ben and Sagan's struggles are due to Rick Bowness? Because under Montgomery they were amazing. Radulov, all those guys were like point per game guys, and like ever since Bowness took over, their numbers have not been the same since.
Yeah.
I think coaching does take an effect. I mean, Jamie Benn's also, 34 or whatever. He's a hard hitter, he's power forward, so he's expected to regress. Like, I think Sagan's definitely took a hit due to
Sagan's the big one. I agree. Sagan
Yeah.
and Gurianov, I think, are the two that have really suffered
And
under the new coaching staff.
That's what happens a lot of the time when you exchange a coach that's in for these offensive guys into someone who likes to play a system, and a lot of players can't conform to a system. They're meant to, just be free, and that works with their talent and stuff. And a lot of times it's not even just changing your head coach because you want to keep the defensive system. It's obviously working for Dallas to an extent. Like they have the tools there. Maybe just bring in an assistant coach who can help them out. I really don't know. But that's the thing that happens sometimes where you exchange a system for letting your talented players do their thing.
I will say Dallas, Nashville, and Vegas, like none of those 3 teams, if I'm like a 1 or 2 seed, I don't like if I'm a 1 seed, if I'm Calgary or Colorado, whoever's the 1 seed, I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to play any of those 3 teams.
That's a good point.
I would rather play a team that can score in bunches but can't play a lick of defense than a team that can bunker down and shut you down, right? Because with those teams, it only takes 1 goal for them. Dallas only needs 1 goal.
Especially in Colorado's case, they lost to Vegas and Dallas in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They lost to Vegas last year. They lost to Dallas in 2020. That's a good point. Like, there's always like one surprising team that makes a run in the playoffs. You got Montreal, you got Dallas. St. Louis was a bit surprising. You know,
They were riding
uh,
a hot goalie, so
yeah,
Yeah.
2018.
Yeah.
Vegas, surprising.
Obviously. Can't go
Nashville,
nowhere.
surprising. San Jose, surprising. Like, who knows? Maybe Nashville or Dallas gets into the playoffs and they go on another run. Who knows?
Yeah, because here's the thing: they have the tools. Like I said, they have the tools. It's kind of it's about bringing them to life. And who knows? Maybe a playoff environment can do that. But if they were to keep on going the way they are right now, I don't know if this. I just know if like offensive. I don't want to say it's less important in the playoffs, but like it's there's less of a value put on it than
it's
playing.
less important in the playoffs. The Leafs have proven that over and over again. Offense doesn't mean anything in the playoffs, especially when you play Boston, because all of a sudden, a cross check is not a cross check anymore. A slew foot is not a slew foot anymore.
It's
You can interfere. You can slash.
It's honestly
Okay.
horrible.
I'm
By
just
the
sound
way.
like a salty Leafs fan. I sound like a salty Leafs fan.
Okay, no,
I'm
but
sorry.
like
I'm sorry. But
I know, like, I don't want to sound entitled or anything because the team's playing amazing, but man, these refs actually
The
kind of
refing has
bad.
been the refing has been bad for the past month or so. It's been so bad.
like I want to say it's just against the Leafs, but
It's not.
It's
Trust
not.
me.
It's not.
It's not. It's not. Like I'm looking like all these clips on YouTube because obviously I can't watch every game. But like there are so many comically bad calls that are being made. Like, do you see the Brad Marchand hit today
Bro, God
on
damn, man.
Andrew Peak?
Yeah.
Like I hate it when like a guy does something in a game and then he's gonna get suspended for it after the game, but nothing happens during the game.
Yeah, because like the
Yeah.
Like,
other
how
team
is that
suffers.
not a hit to the head?
Yeah,
Right?
it's like I get the game's fast, but come on, I did my ref training and even I could see this. I'm freaking 16. Come on.
Yeah.
Game management like has to stop. And like Steve Dangle made this point after the Leafs and Winnipeg Jets game, where it's just like, like game management. Like if Toronto has 8 power plays and and Winnipeg only has 2 power plays, people would perceive that as the Leafs having an unfair advantage. And my kind of perspective is no,
They deserve
that's
it.
just them showing what the tail of the game was. That Minnesota can't keep up, right? Like, if anything, it's an unfair advantage to the team that's not getting penalized
Yeah.
because they can just hold and slash and trip and get away with it, even though they're the worst team or the slower team, right? Because let's be honest, if you're the faster team, the more skilled team, the better team, you're not going to go out and start hooking other players, hooking the other team and taking penalties because you don't need to, right? If you're taking these kinds of penalties, it's because you have to. You have to keep up with the player. And it irks me. It irks me not just for the Leafs, but across the league because I like some consistency. And like this is every year why I kind of don't like watching the playoffs because it's terrible for my blood pressure. I'll watch a play happen and I'll be like, that's a penalty, and it won't get called. And then I go, that's a penalty, and it won't get called. And then Mitch Marner will flip the puck over the glass, and I'll just go, oh my God, of all penalties. Of course, this is the one that we can't sneak under the table and hide under the rug.
Bro,
Really,
by
Mitch,
the
you
way,
couldn't hook the guy?
how do the Leafs keep on managing to do this kind of stuff? They always manage to get too many men on the ice penalties. I swear they do like once every week, and it pisses me off every time. And then the puck over the glass, like it's insane. Why do you keep on doing that? Anyways, that's just my pet peeve. Keep going.
I mean, do you guys want to touch on Winnipeg maybe a little bit? We got some
Yeah,
time.
we'll touch on one.
God, bro, these guys they piss me off.
I hate Winnipeg. Can I just I don't even want to be like that guy, that Leafs fan, but like I hate Winnipeg, bro.
They deserve it.
Pierre-Luc Dubois, like I would be totally fine if I never saw him again in a Leafs game. Like I would not mind if Toronto just never had to play Winnipeg again in like the rest of the franchise's history. Like Pierre-Luc Dubois pisses me off. Like do you guys see that hit he put on Alex Kerfoot?
Yeah,
that was 2 inches away from being. Oh, we lost Kasha and Kerfoot. If Kerfoot got hurt on that play, I would have been so angry.
And it wouldn't have got called, by the way.
No call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you surprised when they didn't call a penalty on that? Right? And then the last time we played Winnipeg, where he was ragdolling Austin Matthews in the middle of a play. The puck's in the Winnipeg Jets end, and Pierre-Luc Dubois just manhandling our 50-goal Hart candidate player. And somehow they get matching penalties.
Bro,
Where did Austin Matthews take a penalty on that play?
I still don't get it. The best player in the NHL, that is the face of the league right now, at this moment. That is the face of the league. And how can you just let him get manhandled like that and then give him the punishment? I get, first of all, he deserved the suspension. That was a cross-check to the head. But the thing is, was it Pasternak who should have got suspended?
No, it wasn't. No, the guy who, we call it, Ville Heinola.
Ah.
First game against the Leafs, right? Michael Bunting's driving to the net. Cross-check to the back of the head, right into the net. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like you can't make this up. And the thing is, like, Ville Heinola isn't even a guy who was at the last Leafs game or the game before or last season when Rasmus Sandin had the reverse hit on Blake Wheeler. He wasn't even on the team then. Why are you mad? Why are you cross-checking people in the back of the head? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I like Ville Heinola too. He's a good player. But, like, why? Why are you doing this? And don't even get me started on Neil Pionk. And I need to hit on Rasmus Sandin. Like, he's like really one of our best players. We missed him for like 3 weeks, right? We had to play like Justin Hall and Travis Dermott on our bottom pair because like one of our best young defensemen was out because of a knee injury. It's like I mean, don't even get me started on Logan Stanley, bro. Logan Stanley gets into it with Wayne Simmons at the end of the 2 games ago, right? When he was getting into it with Wayne Simmons, the ref separates them, and he just starts like throwing his hands up and trying to rile up the crowd like he did something. Like, bro, you're challenged by a guy who's literally 5 inches shorter than you, right? And what do you call it? The ref got in between, so you got saved by the ref. Right, and now you're trying to hype up the crowd. Like, I'm so glad the Leafs slapped Winnipeg this last game. Steve was right. That was a must-win game.
And
if Toronto lost that game, I would have been more upset than any of the game 7s that we lost in the past.
And let me tell you,
bulletin board material too, bro.
Let me tell you, Kyle Clifford is actually the most useless piece of crap player in the NHL. He's so bad. You are only there because you are big and you are fat and you can punch people. Okay, so do it.
I feel the same exactly with Cassian. Don't worry.
Oh my
God. I was like, and then don't even get me started. This is like we call it. This is why I don't like NHL Twitter, bro. Like, what do you call it? Like Wayne Simmons, Wayne Simmons and who we call it? Lowry, right? Wanted to fight, and there was this one Winnipeg Jets guy who's like, "Oh, Lowry wanted to fight. Simmons looks like he like pussied out." I'm like, no. We're winning. We're beating you by 2 goals with like 3 minutes left in the game. Wayne Simmons is not going to fight you and give you a reason to get any momentum. No, we're winning. You can't hang. If you want to fight him, catch up first. Give him a reason to fight you. And then of course we score like 2 more goals, and then Wayne wants to fight him. But then like this is another thing I have a gripe against the refs, right? Why is it every time when 2 players both want to fight, the ref goes, "Nah, I'm gonna separate you 2." But when one player, like Pierre-Luc Dubois, starts manhandling our superstar, the ref's just like, "Oh, what's that happening over there? Oh, Austin Matthews is getting manhandled and getting face washed and getting his jersey tugged over his head by Pierre-Luc Dubois. That seems normal to me. Oh, you know what? That should be penalties for both of them. They don't break that one up. But when Wayne Simmons and Alan Lowry want to drop the gloves, it's like, nah. Y'all can't fight.
And let's not forget when freaking Taylor Hall sucker punch Lyubushkin in the back of the head, bro. That is literally in the rules. It's literally written down. I can read. I saw that in the rule book. That's a penalty. Kick him off the ice. Give him a suspension.
I wasn't like most of these fans where it's like, oh, that's a Bertuzzi Jr., right? Like, I'm saying, like, no, like, he probably is caught in a bad spot. Like, Lyubushkin's had head injuries in the past. Like, you know, it probably wasn't like that hard. You know, he was probably trying to like give him a little bit, but it's a sucker punch. It's the very definition of a sucker punch. He shouldn't have played the rest of the game. And for that reason alone, I wanted a 1-game suspension. Not because I think Taylor Hall deserved extra punishment for what he did, but because the officials got the call wrong on the ice. Taylor Hall should not have played the last 2/3 of that game, and he was on the ice for those 2/3. He shouldn't have been. He only served a minor. He should have gone game misconduct. Because of that, it should transfer over. He should get 1 game for that.
And here's the thing,
justified.
Like you mentioned before, Taylor Hall, he could have switched. He's a good player. He could have switched. He could have completely swung the I don't know what the word is. Momentum of the game. Okay, and yet he's still in there, right? This is what God damn it. This is what Ryan meant when he said that. Sure, the Leafs probably got more power plays that game, right? I'm gonna Take a guess. They did. But it should have been more because if Boston got away with that and Taylor Hall got like a hat trick, like that
Yeah,
completely
like-
switched the way the game went.
And like, I don't want to like harp on the refs too much because every team can have it. Really, I just feel like this whole point is about Winnipeg. I hate Winnipeg. Okay, like that's just all I want to say. I don't like any single player on Winnipeg. Carl Hellebuck is fine, but I don't like him because there were a couple games last year, a couple years ago, where like he was just an absolute amazing goalie, and we lost games because of him. So I don't like him because of that. Okay, Neil Pionk, need Rasmus Sandin. I just think he's just like one of those cheap players. You know, like something about him just rubs me the wrong way. Josh Morrissey is a bust. I hate you. You're not a good player. You're like a top 10 pick, and you're literally barely a top pair defenseman. You wouldn't be if you were on a good team, but Winnipeg sucks, and that's the only reason you're playing on the top pair. Brandon Dillon, Kyle Clifford beat you up. Okay, that's all you need to know. And he sucks, so you suck too. Logan Stanley, don't even get me started on you. You're bad as well. Nate Schmidt, you can't stay healthy. Don't talk to me. Okay? Like these players suck. These players
I
suck.
think that's the great place.
Second, I think you might have cured my cold right. That was fantastic.
I think that's a great place to end it there.
Oh
Great
my
place.
God.
So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and the little bit of a rant by the Leafs fans on Boston and Winnipeg.
By the way, Winnipeg, suck my balls.
Wow. Wow.
I don't
All
like
right.
Winnipeg. I don't like Winnipeg. I
We'll
hate
see you
Winnipeg.
guys.
I'm sorry.
We'll see you guys probably later this month when it comes to playoff time. Maybe a couple more standings updates here and there. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.